School. SUNDAY. So can you tell me how to get to the Sunday School? Oh, school on Sunday makes the world better on Monday. Get to the Sunday School. Sunday School.
Okay, we need him. All right, we're back. Awesome. We're back. I see my incredible guest here, Brother Steve.
Woo! And they are coming on. They are still here, and we are so grateful for each and every one of our wonderful guests on the day. And you know what? I'm going to say this right now. If I was in Baton Rouge, I would not be speeding through the streets right now. And if I was, I'd be like, hey, I'm on the phone with your mayor right now. The mayor of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It can't get no gooder than that. And I'm going to ask our president to introduce all of our very special guests. While he's doing that, you can still give. And I want to say thank you so much to the Saints in Dayton, Ohio. The YouTube family has just beefed up. I mean, the comments from YouTube are really coming in. The information it gives at the bottom of the screen, and so many great things are happening. As the president, let's introduce our guests on this segment at this time.
Well, again, I'm so honored to have, again, these type of relationships. First, I want to start with my brother, the mentor who's mentored me for the last 20 years. That's none other than Keith Weish. He's a minister in his own right. Thank you for being here. He serves with the Walmart Corporation now, former CEO in the grocery industry, senior vice president in IBM. He was president for Pitney Bowes at one time. That's where I met him. He has a stellar background, a New York Times bestseller. He's authored several books. One of those books he actually wrote about the Ellis story. I'll never forget it, Keith. I share with the story with many of our kids in Sunday school. The superintendent of schools, Cito Narcisse, again, from Washington, D.C., but he heralds as superintendent in East Baton Rouge Parish, an incredible brother, born and raised, again, in the church as well. I see attorney Anthony Parker and Judge Anthony Parker from Cleveland, Ohio, on. He works with the Sunday school department, incredible brother. Get that brother Thomas on from the librarian system in the state of Ohio, city of Cleveland, I believe, is joining us on tonight. Dr. Jared, I don't know why I keep saying Jared. Is it Jared or Gerard? I want to call you Gerard.
It's Jared.
Dr.
Jared is correct.
Davis, again, yes, executive pastor in Houston, Texas, a PhD in education is on. And I see Dr. Kathy Oliver, again, our dean of instruction for the Sunday school department. Last but not least, my friend, the one and only, again, the mayor of East Baton Rouge Parish, president of this great city, the capital city in Louisiana, a teacher right here at United Christian Faith Ministry, spirit-filled woman of God. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mayor Sharon Broome. Thank you for joining tonight. An incredible panel to discuss just for a few minutes, again, how important school is on Sunday to the marketplace on Monday. And I want to tee it up this way. The marketplace is the synthesis primarily of what? Business, government, and education. Business, government, and education. And for centuries in America, the marketplace has been some of the place or the place where many of the strongholds exist. Systems that lock men and women outside of access, right? Whether it was in business, discrimination, education, the lack of access. In government, whether it was writing legislation that benefits, again, minority communities. We've seen it all over. School on Sunday has to address the ills of our times. Leaders of school on Sunday have to have stakeholders in business community, in government, in education, to understand what the challenges are. And there has to be joint ownership of those challenges. I want to start with our mayor tonight. Again, you've seen it on both ends as a state legislator, senator. You herald from the great city of Chicago, Illinois. You've been all over the world. How important is school on Sunday to the marketplace on Monday? And how should pastors and Christian education leaders rethink how they set curriculum? What would you say to that tonight, Mayor Broome?
Well, thank you, Pastor, for allowing me to participate in this discussion. And I will tell you that when I think about school on Sunday, I think about the opportunity for our students, our participants, to get that biblical knowledge, and that it is that knowledge and the principles that are learned on Sunday at Sunday school that can be used to address all policies, whether they're economic policies, and can also be used. And as I heard the bishop say earlier, we need this now more than ever. We need that moral compass for effective leadership in our society today. And that is what School on Sunday provides for all the participants.
Thank you. Absolutely. Let's chime in here. Keith, again, ministerial background, you've been all over, you've seen it, you've raised children, grown children now. What say ye to how important school is on Sunday to the workforce, to the labor force, Walmart, the corporation in particular? We can talk about some of the horror stories we've seen with it comes to some of the employees, whether it's lacking customer service skills or, again, the lack of engagement. How important is school on Sunday to the bottom line in business on Monday? What would you say?
President Ellis, thank you for the opportunity. You know, the first thing I'll tell you is that we spend more time in the marketplace or the workplace than we do on Sunday morning. It's 4 hours on Sunday, but it's 40 hours minimum during the week. And so it's foundational that we have that experience, because in the marketplace, you will come across situations where your faith will be tested. You'll need fortitude. You'll have to be fearless. And it's important that you have those skill sets. The biggest one for me as a leader, though, has always been influence. At Walmart, I have 30,000 associates who look to me for direction, guidance, what have you. And it's just essential that wisdom, that leadership wisdom that we get in Sunday school that we may not realize we're getting as a young child. But it helps us put on that whole armor of God to be able to deal with what we have to deal with Monday through Friday.
Superintendent of Schools, Cito, you bring an incredible perspective. I want to applaud you first for the work you've done here in East Baton Rouge Parish. I do think you have done an incredible job with what you've had to work with, and so we commend you for that. Speak to some of the challenges that the school systems face, that sometimes we put all the pressure on the teacher, the principal, the superintendent, but we have to be in this together. What would you say that churches should be addressing when it comes to some of the challenges you see on Monday, behavioral challenges, knowledge gaps, skills gaps, etc., respect for authority? How would you speak to what curriculum could look like for schools on Sunday?
Yeah, thank you, Pastor. I appreciate the invitation. I think the reality, so I've been in 10 school districts up and down the country, and before I became superintendent here. And the reality is, in our community, we had not always designed the school system where we're building workforce development skills for children to be at high wage, high demand jobs. It's been, go to college, but, no pathway to that. And the reality is, kids are a product of communities. Just like myself, my mom was a pastor. We grew up in a space where, because we went to church, because we were around folks, and we saw the importance of watching in our own community. One thing you learn about church is no matter what socioeconomic class you are, what education you come from, in our community, everybody's going to church. So we got to see this constantly in our days. And in schools, kids don't get to see that pipeline, but you have to create a curriculum where kids are getting workforce development skills as early in the high school. So by the time that they graduate in their senior year, they actually are ahead of the curve, not behind the curve. And a lot of that ends up happening because of access and resources and opportunities. So if you look at the work we've been doing here in East Baton Rouge, where we've required kids, because, we're a district that has 90% minority kids, 75% majority economically disadvantaged. We required kids to take advanced courses because we were saying to ourselves, by the time they get to their 12th grade, where we all celebrate, the child will have at least 2 years of college done where they can get a scholarship going to their third year already ahead of the curve. If you come from a family that has, those opportunities are presented to you. If you come from a family that does not have, those opportunities are not presented to you. And so the importance of community, faith-based, everyone wrapping yourselves around, especially in our community, to help you get acceleration like that is even more important in that work. And because we fall behind before we start school, and that's what people don't see. And being aggressive around that is really important, especially in our community.
Speak to some of the data that suggests in many of our cities across America, a lot of our youth are behind in their reading comprehension. And of course, we could start talking about where opportunities exist in the STEM whole curriculum and where the new jobs are going and how we must make a differential investment in how we train early on. And I think this is where School on Sunday can play a critical role. Dr. Kathy Oliver, you wrote a book, Why Schools and School Systems Fumble the Ball. Can you speak to, again, why it's so important that Sunday school superintendents, Christian education directors, look at the differential investment they are to make in those they have been called to cover and to provide spiritual care for? You know, initially 160 plus years ago when Sunday school was initially started, again, the goal was to address the ills that the community was facing. School on Sunday, it was high truancy. Kids were given into crime. And so it was a partnership with the marketplace that the church is going to address some of these issues. And again, I think this is where many of our leaders have gotten sidetracked with just having church, but we're not critically setting those educational objectives, right, that address the issues of our community. Speak to that quickly, what your thoughts are about what this could look like in the future.
Sure, absolutely. So I think we all know the data around how many students of color in particular lag behind their peers in school. What people need to understand about teaching in a ministry environment is that a lot of what we're trying to do in the school system actually needs to also happen at church. Social emotional learning is something that's being taught at school. Problem solving is something that's being taught at Sunday school. Mathematics is being taught in Sunday school. And when we talk about eradicating biblical illiteracy, we're actually eradicating literacy as students learn to memorize the scriptures, to read out loud, to work in small groups. So there are so many ways that we are addressing the academic need along with the spiritual need. And that is what Jesus did. Before he tried to get us to understand spiritual matters, he instilled critical thinking and problem solving, how we turn water into wine, or how to feed over 5,000 people with 2 fish and 5 loaves. We can use biblical content to help increase student performance in academic areas. And that's so critical, particularly post-pandemic, when most students are 3 and 4 school years behind.
Our Dr. Felton Thomas, Director of Libraries for the City of Cleveland, Ohio. Speak to that as it relates to your experience, what you've seen, again, and what School on Sunday should and could look like addressing the challenges of our time.
Well, here in Cleveland, we just finished a campaign where we had over 1 million books read in the year of 2023. And we recognize the only way you're going to get that done is getting families and children working together, with parents and children working together on reading, right? Essential to that were the churches and Sunday schools, of getting our schools to work, our Sunday schools to work with us to get their children reading during this campaign, right? And so when we reached that number, we recognized the importance of the churches in helping us to get to that number. Because, you know, the family is essential to the church, right? And we cannot move forward on Sunday school without us being able to get our families working together.
Incredible testimony, a story, 1 million books read. I hope pastors are listening, that you got to start that book reading club at your church. You got to challenge more reading. We even open up a little bookstore at our church, right? Reading is not optional. We ask every family to invest in a Sunday school book. whether you come every week or not. Reading is not optional. 12 to 13 expository lessons that can transform your life. And oh, by the way, if you have children and you can't teach that lesson, bring them to school on Sunday, right? They get engagement. They learn how to speak before a crowd. If they are behind in their reading, we'll even assist them with after-school tutorials. That's what your school on Sunday has to do. Pastor, Attorney, Judge Parker, speak to it quickly, sir. You are a pastor. You see it firsthand, but also in the court system. Anything you would add to this discussion? We got 3 minutes left, and I'm going to wrap it up with going around the horn one more time.
There's a direct correlation between education and crime. When we're looking and we're seeing staggering numbers in our county, is the great number of juveniles who are now being bound over and tried as adults. And the numbers are getting out of control. And of course, is it affecting our youth of color the most? And when we talk to the youth and we try to figure out why is it that incarceration isn't deterrent, it's because the community they belong to is stronger. It means more to them than facing incarceration. So why not give them this community in Sunday school? We need our youth in Sunday school. Youth of today need a sense of belonging. And that's what Sunday school can bring when they say, hey, well, here's a group of people that are going to give me positive peer pressure to do the right thing, because there is a community out there that's waiting to get them to be involved in armed robbery and murder. And it's sickening to see 14 and 15-year-olds sentenced to 25, 30, 40 years of prison because of the strength of the community they are part of.
Sunday changes the world on Monday. Dr. Jared, you and I discussed some statistics. We're not able to get that slide up. You want to speak to that? You had 3 important factors. Quickly share with you the data that speaks to some of the ills of our time and how we need to rethink and readdress.
Absolutely. And I just want to double click on what Pastor Parker mentioned. He talked about our incarceration rates. When we look at our education system, we also understand that Black and brown children are disproportionately overrepresented when it comes to exclusionary discipline, meaning that they are being put out of school at a much higher rate, which leads to the school to prison pipeline that Pastor Parker was speaking to. But what we're seeing is that according to the Barna Group, 53% of adults are open to churches supporting their career development. And what's even more interesting is that 67% of Gen Z and 69% of millennials are particularly open to this idea. So when churches become relevant to the needs of their community, then you will see the people come out. Because we also know that 51% of all working adults find purpose in their work. And that's exactly what School on Sunday does. It opens up the possibilities. Excuse me. And really expands the horizons of our young people, of our adults. And when we can start to meet the needs, the desires of our congregants, then we will see that not only will our lessons have impact in our local church, but it will have impact in our community at large. And that's when we will start to see the changes that we've been praying for.
Right. Astounding statistics. Pastors, if you're watching, only 51% of Americans find meaning and purpose in their work. We got to move that needle. The Bible says, whatsoever you do, do it as unto the Lord. Imagine if that principle was taught, right? Whatsoever is right, God will repay. Finding meaning in your work. You know, in the Bible, work was the first worship. Before there was a service, a song sung unto God. God gave man a will to obey, a work to do, and a woman to love. But before, again, that was wherever formal worship, work. Sunday school is directly tied to the quality of work people are doing. Keith, any final words that you would add to this group? We're talking to pastors and teachers out there. What would you say as a leader in the marketplace for over 4 decades? Any final words that you would say to those who are watching?
Yeah, I'll go back to something Dr. Oliver said. It's about the skills development that you gain in Sunday school. You know, critical thinking. I first learned that in Sunday school. Public speaking, those Easter speeches I muddled through and those types of things. Learn that in Sunday school. Dealing with people. again, understanding, learning that, that's how you deal with people, love your neighbor as yourself. And so there's so many fundamental skills developments that take place subliminally in Sunday school that last a lifetime.
Incredible. Am I back up? All righty. Superintendent Cito, what would you say? Any final words to teachers out there? Come on, give us a challenge. We got to step it up.
Yeah, one of the recommendations, I was saying, Mayor Broom's on here with me. Mayor Broom and I embarked on creating what they call a literacy blueprint. It's something that was out of her office. We collaborated with national partners and partners here, where it talked about how partners can help kids to read as early as possible. We pushed a lot in Baton Rouge from getting kids to start reading from 0 to 4. Walking into with our early literacy plan, and we've expanded almost 6,500 seats in our system. If you get a chance, Google East Baton Rouge Literacy Blueprint. It'll give you a guide on how to help children focus as early as possible when they're born on the types of reading they should be reading. So by the time that they start to get to particular material, it can help them to develop workforce skills because they're reading necessary material that help them build their vocabulary. If you don't start early, you start falling behind. And then that's how you actually create this pipeline that starts to close the gap. So you don't create a cradle to prison pipeline, but it starts tremendously early. So if you get an opportunity, look at our East Baton Rouge Literacy Blueprint, and you'll see how community partners should play a goal in that. Churches should play a goal in that. Anyone to be thinking about how they're helping children to read.
I love it. I love it. Mayor, you're a watchman for the city. All mayors may be out there watching on tonight. I know we have several in the church. What would you say is a charge or a challenge to those who are watching tonight as we rethink how we do school on Sunday? Any final words?
I would just encourage everyone to encourage their constituency to use the Sunday school model because its overall effectiveness has already been proven. And it is in that Sunday school model where we are strengthened, certainly spiritually and biblically, that we develop a more comprehensive worldview.
I love it. Absolutely. Incredible, incredible insight. This is all the time we have. I do want to say, if you're watching, we've put together an implementation guide, how to relaunch your school on Sunday. We call ours Powerful Living Academy. It's how you can reinvest in your teachers, give them the tools needed to succeed. We have a national training program for teachers, Christian education leaders. It's all in a virtual setting. It's available to all. I challenge you. Let's go, America. The Christian community, we must rise up and address the ills of our time. My people perish because of the lack of knowledge. The Bible says where there is no vision, the people perish. So when God wants to rescue you from a perishing predicament, he doesn't call for a prayer meeting. He calls for vision. I pray that you have some insight, some inspiration tonight to begin to write the vision and write it plain so others can run with it. I see school on Sunday changing the world on Monday. Thank you to our guests tonight. This concludes our marketplace segment. We've got two more coming up real quickly. Brother Steve, I'm going to turn it back to you. We got a video reel, and then we're going to hear from some of our young people tonight.
Before our guests leave, we want to just have each and every one of you, we want to applaud you and thank you so much for coming on. God bless you, each and every one of you, our saints, our friends. Dr. Parker, my dear friend, I'm looking forward to seeing Dr. Thomas when I come to Cleveland. I come home from Cleveland. Thank God for our mayor, Dr. Cito, and also Lady Kathy Oliver. She's coming to the Midwest soon, and Dr. Gerard Davis. And, like people say, they don't talk about this, but I realize this, even in the entertainment industry here in Hollywood and into business, one of the most depressing moments of the week, one of the most depressing hours of the week is Sunday night between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. I thought about that for years, one of the most depressing moments. And if you go to Sunday night service, or used to go to Sunday night service, it'll be from 9 p.m. to 1 p.m., 1 a.m. Why? Because you had a great weekend, and now you're thinking, oh, I got to go to that job. I got to go to that marketplace. I got to go to work tomorrow. So with the good information from Sunday school to motivate you on Sundays, that time of depression that will normally come on Sunday night can be washed away because you're still excited about what you learned in Sunday school to help you in the workplace on Monday school. Amen. Saints and friends, God bless you so very much. We got a great video presentation coming up. God bless all the saints and friends. Lamont Pierce is watching. Sister Sharu is out there watching. Annie Graves Johnson is watching. Rebecca Stampy Crawley is watching. God bless you. The saints and friends are watching. Lisa Atkins is watching. And we want, if your church has sown a seed into the International Sunday School Department, we're going to put our ways of giving right there at the bottom of the screen. And you can put your name and we will call your name out and let the saints and friends know that you are watching. Thank you, Dr. Westbrook Grimes, for your support and your help. YouTube is coming through real strong right now. God bless YouTube. And we are so excited for the wonderful things that everyone is doing. Thank you to our wonderful guests. We've got a great video presentation coming up, and we're going to go to that. And we are going to show more and more about the great things taking place. Dr. Ellis, do you have an update with some of the tote boards that you have on your side? I know we're way beyond the 5,000. We're way beyond the 10,000. We're at the 15,000. We're beyond that. I know you've got new numbers coming in. I'll let you share those numbers as you're getting live in real time for the saints and friends out there watching right now. Thank you, the mayor. So busy schedule, so much on your plate, but thank you for sowing into Sunday school and what you do. God bless the saints everywhere. God bless Sister Brother Carlos Baggage out there. As a school administrator, this is great, needed for more youth in Sunday school. Veronica Francis O'Brien, God bless you. Elder Duncan, God bless you out there watching our broadcast. President Ellis, you've got some new numbers for us out there. Let's share those numbers tonight.
Brother Steve, Lisa Vosper, Dr. Lisa Vosper, Pastor Michael Scott, my friend in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Brother Vince Young, all are sowing $100 for that banner wall. Our numbers are up over 20,000. We're at $21,323 and climbing. I'm excited. We're going to go to a quick video reel, and then we're going to hear from our student segment led by the one and only Miss Sunday School Girl herself, Waynell Henson.